right, y'all. Welcome back. Happy Monday. I hope that y'all's Monday is going well. Starting off the week, so many things are already going on, man. We've been talking about the transfer portal. Yesterday, we talked about defense. I know we had some technical difficulties, but we did talk a little bit about quarterback. There are a few quarterbacks hitting the transfer portal. Actually, Joey Aguilar right now. He's not, I don't think that he's in court. He's probably on campus going through bowl prep and everything else. But he did sign on to the Pavia lawsuit, and they had their hearing. I think it was supposed to start today at 9 o'clock in Nashville. So what is that, Central Time? It should be over with. I wanted to try to wait until it was totally done with just to see. It's just like the first hearing, y'all, I think, but wanted to try to wait to see how that plays out. I don't know if the judge or like whatever is going to grant that 5th year for Joey Aguilar, and I guess it would be for every college athlete. I don't know, but either way, we'll see. If y'all get some updates on that, please let me know. It might break while we're going live, but obviously some big implications from that standpoint. But then we got the quarterbacks entered into the transfer portal, big time names. We're gonna show y'all some of the quarterbacks that Tennessee, I think, is maybe going to try to target or, like whatever. But then today should be Jim Knowles' first day on campus. And there will be some maybe staff changes. Who's he going to bring from Penn State? Who's he maybe want to hold on to from the current roster? He's going to be going through, I'm sure, and looking at the current roster, like the players and seeing who's going to fit his scheme, who doesn't. What does he need to do inside the transfer portal? I've been very vocal in saying that Coach Heupel has got to give him almost like free reign in this transfer portal window. Tennessee's got money to spend. I think they're in a great spot from that standpoint, but there's just like a lot of exciting things going on. We haven't really talked too much about the bowl game. I said that we'll do it at some point this week, which we will, but man, the transfer portal is a bigger deal in my opinion, just because this season is pretty much over. Like, look, bowl games mean something, but I mean, just for me personally, it's fine if you disagree. But for me personally, I'm looking more forward to seeing the young guys play in this bowl game. I don't too much care about the rest of it. But with all that being said, y'all, if you're in here, please do like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us out in a very, very major way. Shouts out to our members. Let me tap into this chat real quick, because I see that there's a lot of people that's been in here. Thank y'all, man, for joining us. And we also have a poll up. I'm going to tap into the poll. Let me see how that's looking here in just a second. But this first one is from Andral, and we will still be getting to our members first and the super chats. But I want to start off with the people who got here early. But Andral, who's always joining us live, appreciate that, bro, saying, give me GMAC based on everything that we heard from spring and fall camp. He had the goods, plus he's the home state guy. Yeah, I love George, man. I'm a huge George fan. And David Speaks is saying that reports are Sorsby has 3 offers of $4 million, so we have to be all in to get him. Well, I'm happy that you brought that up, David, because this is something that we've been talking about. We talked about it for, I don't know, maybe like a month or two on this channel. At quarterbacks and everything, most things that are like premium spots, quarterback, offensive tackle, pass rushers, they're going to cost more money than they did previously. So it's not like, oh, this guy's coming from a smaller classification school, so it's going to be really cheap. No way. Okay. Some of them maybe, but if they're good, then they're just good. So you're going to have to pay for that. You're going to have to pay more for the proven guys, but I don't think it's going to be like astronomically more. So yes, I think that's a good point for you to bring up. If Tennessee wants to go get a quarterback of that ilk, a starting caliber quarterback that we're bringing out of the portal, it's going to cost. It's going to cost, and that's taken away from everything else on this team. All right, let me see if we can get to some different people. So this one right here from Hillval fan, saying that they hope that Joey comes back. Hendon did his best his second year. Okay, that's something else that we'll talk about. But first, let me tap into the poll and see how those numbers look. If y'all haven't voted on this poll, make sure that you do vote on it. So I'm just asking, who do you want the starting quarterback to be in 2026? So most is coming in for Joey Aguilar, so 35%. There's 24% for Brendan Sorsby. There's 11% for a different transfer portal starting caliber quarterback. And then there's 30% for GMAC or Faison. Okay, so those are some pretty balanced numbers. So look, this is where I'm at with it, y'all. Understand something, that I know that there is a narrative out there that, well, second year inside of the system, that's going to make a difference. I think that it will make some difference, but in all honesty, Tennessee's offensive system, it's not that complicated compared to most offensive systems, even in college. If it's just veer and shoot, it's like a high school system. It's extremely simple. It's my nephew Bray's playing in the state championship next season, or not next season, but on Tuesday, coming up here, like within like 24 hours or something. Their offense at Buford is more complicated than the veer and shoot. I promise you, it's like way more complicated. But we've added some more pro style elements, so that makes it a little bit more complicated, but it's still not as complicated as I would say probably like the average offensive system on this level of Power 4 football. And we're going to make more changes. So the offense look totally different this year than it did since Coach Heupel's been here. It could look, maybe just like add some things, maybe not totally different, but add some things. So I don't know how much of I don't think that's like a huge deal. I'm not too concerned about it. Not for a transfer, not for a transfer quarterback, but for like a phase on brand. And yeah, there's going to be maybe like a little bit of a learning curve just because like the speed of the game, so on and so forth. All right. Let's see who else we got in here. I'm gonna try to get to some different people just to try to mix it up. All right, this one right here saying, hey, what's going on, bro? Appreciate you for joining us as always. From my dog right here. Go Big Orange, go Vols. This one from Mara. Why are we constantly in this position with obtaining a portal quarterback? I get this season, but it says a lot about our strength and conditioning. And I don't know what WB, maybe quarterback. Okay, so George should be ready. Well, yeah, I understand. I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, I don't know. Everybody's different. Quarterback is very tough to play. It is, and I know I just said, like for a transfer, if they've played a whole lot of ball, it's not as complicated. But quarterback is probably the toughest position in all of sports to play. You have to know what everybody on the entire field, offense and defense, is doing, right? And then you have to be able to operate after that. You got to be able to get the snap, go through your reads, fake, you know what I'm saying? Like look things off, everything. Like there's a lot that goes into it. So it's not quite that simple, I don't think. So I don't know how much that has to do with like the strength team per se, whenever you're just talking about quarterbacks. But we are in a really weird situation because of the whole Nico thing. Nico leaving, it put us in a bad spot, especially when he left last season. Shouts out to the staff. Shouts out to Joey for what they were able to put together on kind of like short notice sort of a deal. But I've been very vocal and also saying this, there is a higher level that we can get to. I think more of what we saw with the success of Joey was based off of the offensive system, was based off of the staff doing a good job with being able to scheme it up earlier in the season, and then people started to figure out we got to find the counters. It's going to be a huge part of this entire team next year, really like over the course of the offseason. But the whole point here is that quarterback is a little bit of a different thing. It is extreme. There's a lot. There's a lot that goes into it mentally, physically, all that type of stuff. So I'm not, and I don't even know if George is not the guy because he could be. He has to gain the weight. A whole lot of that is not just on the strength team. Like, bro, you can lift all the weights that you want. If you're not eating enough, you're not going to gain the weight. Like, you've got to eat. And I've heard that he's maybe got some allergens and all of that, which, hey, I'm not mad at him for that. That's not his fault. But it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really doesn't matter. It like, no excuses, just results, period, for everybody. Like, on this level of football at the University of Tennessee, we don't want to hear none of that crap. Just make it happen. Like, if you got to gain 20 pounds, well, you're going to have to eat. Like, you're going to want to throw up. Your body has to get used to eating that much food. I mean, that's part of the deal. This is not an easy sport, period, but especially quarterback. But yeah, I'm very high on George personally and all of that type of stuff. Okay, so let me go on ahead and jump into the video or jump into this stream. I got a couple things that I want to talk about. Actually, you know what? First thing for me, and I know this is a little bit off topic, but I want to bring this up, and we might do it every now and then. And the main reason that I want to bring this up is because there are so many bad narratives out there that I'm seeing on different YouTube channels or wherever talking about like Coach Banks, he should have blitzed more or he should have done this more. Well, I want to show y'all that he actually blitzed a lot, okay? Like, he didn't. It wasn't like we barely ever blitzed. And the reason that I'm doing it is because Coach Knowles actually blitzes less. So what we're looking at are all of the SEC teams, right? I think it's just going to show like the top 16. So all the SEC teams plus Penn State from this past season and how they blitzed. So this is the total blitzes. All right, you're seeing that Tennessee with Coach Banks this past season at number 5, blitzing 37.4%. Coach Knowles with Penn State last year at 31.7%. All right, now let's go on to the next one because y'all been able to look at that. That blue column that's showing you what we're looking at. That's how everything is organized. All right, so next, these are the blitzes versus the pass. Tennessee's at number 6 in the SEC And Penn State, again, this is just throwing Penn State into the SEC from 2025. They're at number 10. All right. So y'all can see how all that looks. Now, versus the run. Tennessee was at number 4 in blitzing versus the run. Penn State was at number 6. So hopefully some of that is going to make some sense. Let me come back to my point and why I'm bringing this up. It is because there are so many bad narratives out there with people pushing things that are just incorrect. We blitzed a lot this year. It wasn't getting home. Some of that is a personnel problem. And I could have broken this down even more for y'all and shown you the blitzes with 6 people coming, which is a lot, and 7 people coming. Whenever you look at it that way, Tennessee is even higher up on that, okay? Like we blitzed with 6, we blitzed with 7 more than anybody else in this conference. So we brought the blitzes. There's some other things that we could talk about, but I want to get ahead of the narratives before Coach Knowles and the season starts. We'll continue to do this because people will get pissed off if we're not getting enough pass rush. Obviously, sometimes blitzing more is a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing. But I wanted to start things off right there, right? Just because a lot of times people are just throwing things up because they don't know what's going on. So it's like, oh, well, we should be doing more of this. But it's like, well, we are doing, like, how much more of that can we do? Okay, so let me go on ahead. And at first, we're going to talk about Coach Knowles coming over because we talked about it previously that he doesn't typically bring coaches from his previous staffs, and we've heard that his scheme might be kind of complicated. Let me just small little like side note here. I think that narrative that narrative was out there with Coach Shoop whenever he was the DC here at Tennessee. Well, before he was here at Tennessee, he was the DC at Vandy with my brother P. And I just flat out asked him, "Did you think that the defense was complicated?" He said, "No. Like playing inside the secondary, it was pretty easy. It was just like high school." There's a whole lot of that, and it's all on who you ask. Like, you got to go out and get people who know football, who come from a good program where they're getting coached up on some of these things. Defense is not, it can be very complicated, but I don't know from what I've heard with Jim Knowles' system, it is complicated, but to the individual players, it shouldn't be that complicated. Like, he's dumbing it down. So, like, what's more complicated to me is like a cover 7. That's everything from the Saban tree with that match zone stuff. That's complicated because things change within the, like, after the football snap. So we might do like a totally separate video, which we've done previously, but just to kind of like break down what that sounds like and what Coach Knowles' stuff sounds like. It's not that big of a deal, but because people are saying that, well, maybe it is complicated, it takes it 2 to 3 years to really get rolling, I think that it would be beneficial if he brings some people with him. And this is the first guy that we'll talk about. Actually, it's the only guy that we're going to talk about today. But he was the safeties coach. His name is Anthony Poindexter. He was the safeties coach at Penn State this past season. So he got to spend 1 year with Coach Knowles. So I'm going to scroll this thing down. Y'all can see what all he's got going on. All right. So he's mostly been, he played safety. He's mostly been like a safeties coach, maybe a secondary coach. Now, I'm getting him potentially coming home to Tennessee from Chris Lowe. Chris Lowe, I mean, like, there's a certain way that people say things that I listen. It's like, okay, they're saying it because it feels like they know something. We talked about this to our members on Patreon and on YouTube last night. Y'all can join us there. That would definitely help us out. But either way, it sounds like he probably is going to be coming. So what are the implications for our current staff? Does that mean that Coach Nez maybe leaves? Because Coach Nez has been coaching our safeties this year. I think that he did it last year too, but don't quote me on that. I know for sure this season he definitely did, but he's technically our secondary coach. So does Coach Poindexter come in as the new secondary coach? Is it just like specifically safeties, or is it going to be over the cornerbacks too? Now, I have watched Penn State extensively. I've watched them a lot. I've paid attention to everything. Their safeties, I think, have played pretty well. There's some things that they did that I didn't love. It might have been because they didn't know what was going on. I don't know. But from like a fundamental standpoint, I didn't love what I saw all the time. P said the same thing. He played more safety than I did. And if he says it, then I trust him more. He really doesn't. I don't think he's feeling this too much if he does come to be our new safeties coach. But I think he might be an upgrade over Coach Nez. Anyway, the whole point, safeties for me were just okay. Maybe good to okay, whatever. But the cornerbacks, to me, didn't look good at all. Now, I think there was a different guy coaching corners. So if he's coming in to potentially coach the cornerbacks, I'm not going to like this hire. All right? Like, I'm not going to like that because, like I said, Penn State's corners just weren't good enough. Hold on to Coach E.T. Coach E.T. is a Tim Banks guy. Tim Banks went to Auburn to be their new safeties coach. I don't know if he can bring on E.T. as like a analyst or whatever and kind of take over like a similar role. It's possible, but Tennessee needs to do whatever we can to hold on to ET, give him a bump in his salary, give him a bump in his title, things like that. Because if you look at our cornerback since he's been coaching, which again I think goes back to last season, how many first rounders do we have? Almost every single one of the starters that have played at least one full season are first rounders. So like, well, outside of Ricky Gibson obviously didn't get to play this year. He probably won't be able to go pro. I think if he does try to go pro, he's going to get picked up. Somebody's going to draft him. I think if he would have played this whole season, he probably would have been a first round pick. Bare minimum, I think second round. So he's doing a great job. But you got Mod, you got Colton Hood. Colton Hood wasn't a first round pick. Neither was Mod before they came here. I think that Mod on film was like, dude, you can tell he's going to be a stud. But with Colton Hood, we saw some really good things. Really good things. But I didn't think that he would be like a first round pick, not after one season. So Coach ET is doing a great job, and it's going to be huge in Jim Knowles' system to have better cornerback play. He hasn't really had that. You know, like if you go back to Penn State, go back to the Buckeyes, the cornerbacks just haven't looked good. I don't think it's from the scheme. I think it's from the coaching. But the safeties are a huge part of it, so I don't mind having a guy that's more of a vet within this system to come in and be the new safeties coach and to kind of expedite the learning curve, the learning process. Okay, so we got all that out the way. I'm about to tap back into the chat. Let me try to get a couple of things ironed out on the back end of this, and then we're going to jump into that. All right, so as far as the chat, so let me see what all we got going on. Well, we got, so this one right here from Dexa, it's saying that we need O-line, defense, and run game, and we'll be fine. Yeah, I think that the offensive line is actually probably good. That's just how I look at it. I mean, if we can bring back our starting five, or if we can hold on to some of the young guys that we have on this offensive line, the offensive line, it's not a problem with the talent on the offensive line. It's a problem with the scheme. It's a problem with the blocking scheme, and we show that to our members all the time. Like, man, on this play, well, everyone that we blocked, we did block most of the time. I'd say probably like 95% of the time, maybe 90% of the time, something like that. Whenever we are blocking someone, we're winning. But it's like having things unblocked. Sometimes maybe we're not blocking the right people and we were supposed to block them, or the scheme is just bad and we're not picking up the right people from that standpoint. But I think that's kind of like where we're at. Defensive line, yeah, we might have to add some folks. I've heard that maybe Caleb Herring might be hitting the portal, and I haven't really heard that from my sources, but I've seen it on some message boards. He put out, I don't know, like a post on social media earlier today, and people were taking that and running with it. We already know, we know how that goes, but maybe there's nothing to it. Hopefully we can hold on to him, because I think that that's going to be very necessary. We'll talk about it some more. So let me get to some more. I'm going to just try to get to some different people. Actually, let me double check and make sure that we don't have anything from our members or any of that. Looks like we don't. Okay, so I'm just kind of going around at random and getting to different things, different people. All right, so this one looks like this is new from Terry. So Terry saying that we know what Joey can do. We don't know what anyone else can do with our team. Yeah, that is true. I feel like, I don't know for sure, but because I've watched so much film on all these guys, I have a pretty good understanding of what their skill set is and what our system is, what we like to run, and so on and so forth. So I think that I can, I'm not gonna say, like, obviously I don't feel like I know everything by any means, but I think I have a pretty solid understanding of who has a higher ceiling than what Joey has. And we'll take a look at those numbers in just a second. So this one right here from Gene saying that they better keep Joey, that he's the best chance that we have right now. Okay. So that's an interesting perspective. See what else we got. Still just trying to find some different people for us to get to in here. Okay. So I don't know if I see too many. Oh, this one right here from Mike saying how many of them blitzed were successful, especially on third down. Yeah, so just like going back to those numbers with those blitzes, like I said, we were dialing up blitzes, but like when they don't get home, a lot of times that is more on the personnel and less on the scheme. I think, well, there were some weird things that we did within our blitz packages sometimes, but it's not totally abnormal, totally different from what most defensive coordinators do. Really wasn't. Like, we need to upgrade. You know what I'm saying? We had some pretty critical injuries. I think that Arion Carter, he played, but he was like a shell of himself for most of the year. He's like the starting will, so he's your speed guy. But if you look at the Syracuse game, I think the first sack of the season was Arion Carter blitzing. I want to say that Edwin Spillman had a sack blitzing in that same game. So we were dialing it up, but we just I just don't think that we had enough dudes who could really get it done, right? So that's my whole point there is just understand that there's only but so many things that you can do from a scheme standpoint. X's and O's, that's one thing, but you also need to have Jimmy's and Joe's. All right, so here we go from Gilead. Gilead saying that our program is moving in the right direction. Go Big Orange. I think so, man. It feels like Coach Heupel really wants to get this thing done. I don't think that he's ever been out of, I think that he's always been that way. I just think that he's a freaking winner. So this one from Big Dog's Got to Eat. All right, so he's just talking to Ultra right there. And this next one from Papa T's going on, Papa T. All right, so talking about Dylan, he just went to the portal, but give me Sorsby. So I'm gonna say this. Obviously, Dylan having played at Buford, I got a little bit of inside track on that. You know what I'm saying on what the kind of like dwindled down options are. We won't speak on it publicly because I don't want to ruin their whole deal. But let's go on ahead and pull up these quarterbacks. All right. So this is from Pro Football Focus, and these are 4 quarterbacks that I'm just bringing up here. In all honesty, so obviously, we've got Joey Aguilar. Like we said, we don't know what's going to happen with his court hearing, or does he even really want to come back? He signed on to it. I think that might have been a just in case sort of a thing, but maybe he does want to come back. In my opinion, it would make the most sense for him to try to come back and play college football, get his draft stock up more. Don't throw as many interceptions. But we'll go through all their stats and all that. Then we have DJ Lagway up here. I'll just throw it out there. I think that he, and y'all can see their sizes, right? 6'3", 247. I think part of the reason he's always getting injured and hurt and banged up is because he needs to, I don't know what his diet actually is. I mean, I'm not going to say that he's eating a bunch of snacks and all that, put the snacks down. But I will say whatever he's eating too damn much of it. Like he shouldn't be that big. He needs to lose at least 10 to 15 pounds, if not 20 pounds, and be more. He's putting too much pressure on his joints with all that damn weight, bro. Like, you got to stop eating. Like, you've got to do that. Like, I hope that he does well. I hope all these guys do well wherever they end up at. Even if they go to Georgia, I'm never wishing bad on the individual players. But that's like my biggest thing is like with the injuries. I think he's very talented, but he gets injured way too much. I don't think he reads the field particularly well. But out of all these quarterbacks that we're looking at currently, and probably like out of most quarterbacks with Napier, his system was a lot more complicated, a lot more pro style than what you typically see in college. And I think that he did a little bit better once they started to dumb things down once Napier was let go. But even still, like his system, after it's dumbed down versus Tennessee's system, it's like night and day. It's almost still opposite ends of the spectrum. So I think that he could come here and he could do well with the simplified system. He's got all the tools, but he wouldn't necessarily be my first guy. Obviously, Brendan Sorsby, great size, 6'3", 235. I think he's pretty mobile. He has good speed. He's not a very shifty guy. He's going to be more mobile than Joey is. All these guys are going to be more mobile, in my opinion, than Joey is. I think that they all have just better everything as far as just sheer athletic talent than Joey does. That's just my opinion. This kid right here, Drew Mestamaker from North Texas, we talked about him previously. He's got good size. He's a younger guy. He's got to gain a little bit of weight, but I think that he'd be really good as well. But Brendan Sorsby, that's where all the smoke is at, so really focus on him and how his numbers look because even the insiders, and I've told y'all, man, like they've been hinting at it, he's got family that's already moved to Knoxville. This happened maybe like a month ago, something like that. I think he's got some siblings or, whatever that are going to school in Knoxville. But why would you come to school in Knoxville? He's from Texas. I don't know if his whole family is, but I know that he was born in like Denton, Texas or something like that. So he's a Texas guy. We've heard that the Texas schools might be up, high up on his list. I think that the Texas schools might be getting somebody else. Like if you're talking about Texas Tech, might be getting someone else. All signs are pointing towards if Tennessee wants to go out to the portal to add a transfer quarterback, Brendan Sorsby is the guy. Okay, he's officially not 100%, but he's already come out and said he wants to enter the portal. Now, the portal hasn't opened up yet. Has he done all his paperwork? I have no idea. But he's about as official as it can be, I think, at this point. So look out for him. I've already watched a ton of film, a whole lot of film on him. I think that he is going to be good. All right, let's start going through these stats, right? So these are the PFF grades. I take it with a grain of salt. It's not always 100% correct in my opinion. Key plays right here, y'all. That's just like big plays. It could be good. It could be bad. Dropbacks, that's just how many times that they dropped back. Attempts, that's how many times they actually threw the football. Let's scroll it on over. All right. So obviously this is how many completions they all had. And then this is actually ordered based off of the dropbacks. So the kid from North Texas had the most dropbacks. Joy was second. DJ Lagway's third. Brendan Sorsby was fourth. All right, so this is the rate at which they're hitting on passes right here. So Sorsby actually the least accurate. That does concern me. Definitely does concern me. But I think some of that is with their system and all of that. Passing yards, y'all can see all that right there. Obviously, this is a different level of football at North Texas versus, especially these two where this is power. Well, all these three are power four, but SEC is totally different from the Big 12, which is what Sorsby played in at Cincinnati. You can see the passing yards, per pass right here. And it looks like Ladway, he's at the bottom. Okay. Passing touchdowns. This kid from North Texas doing a great job at passing versus interceptions. Joey, we already knew, and we talked about it the whole offseason after we knew that we were going to be getting him. Even I think before we knew that we were going to be getting him, whenever we're just talking about potential quarterbacks, we brought him up. I said, man, look, I think he's got a good arm. I think he does some good things, but I'm not sure with the turnovers, right? But old habits die hard. That's why for me, I would like to have him back. But if we can get somebody else, in my opinion, that's an upgrade in itself. Some of those interceptions weren't on Joey. Some of them was on people who can't catch the damn football, right? Which we'll take a look at that. I mean, look at all the freaking drops, y'all. Look at all these. Well, we'll get to the drops in just a second. But even still, there's something to be said about being unlucky. I think he's just unlucky. I don't care how you get it done. Just get it done, right? And I hate it for him, but I don't trust that. So, yeah, I would go with somebody that's not throwing as many interceptions. Like, again, Sorsby, 26 touchdowns to 5 picks. You can see the sacks. Most of that's on the offensive line. All right, it's not, but I mean, obviously, Sorsby, he didn't barely got sacked. All right, so these are all the scrambles. How many times did they scramble? Y'all can see that there. Sorsby scrambled more than any of these guys. Average time to throw, that's probably more on the system than anything else, but this is in seconds. So the quickest here was actually the kid from North Texas, 2.62 seconds from snap to throw on average. And then Joey Aguilar was at number 2. DJ Ladway was at number 3. And then Sorsby, he was the last guy. These are batted down passes. That's really of no consequence. These are passes broken up of no consequence. Turnover-worthy plays. DJ Ladway had the most. And actually, Sorsby, right here, he had the least. So only 7. Turnover-worthy plays are, hey, you fumbled it, you either got it back or you didn't. You threw a pass, it was picked, or it could have been picked and it was dropped. That's what that means. So, yes, he's doing a good job with taking care of the football, talking about Sorsby right here. All right, so big-time throws inside of this column, for me, these are just like NFL throws. That's how I classify it. And we're seeing that the kid, Drew Mestemaker, and Sorsby had the most of those. And that's also interesting because Sorsby didn't drop back to throw the football or throw it as much as Joey Aguilar did. So, I think that says something. You can see their quarterback rating. These are the drops. 30 drops for Joey Aguilar. That's almost inhumane, Got to do way better with that. Catch the damn football. Okay, so that's not on Joey. That's on guys having to make catches. But again, this is the quarterback ratings. You see that Drew Mestemaker has the highest. Sorsby has the second highest. This is first downs thrown. This is the air percentage. So I know that there's a whole lot in here, y'all, but y'all are going to be very, very well versed, and y'all will have all of the stats and all that. But as far as the air percentage, what that means is from their total yards, how much of that came from the pass, from the quarterback's hands to the time that it was called. It's not counting yards after the catch or any of that. So how much of an impact is the quarterback really? And, of course, the offensive line and everything else goes into it. But just like with what they're doing with their arm, you can see that Joey Aguilar, he's number 1 right here, almost 57%. And then Sorsby's at number 2. And then this is average depth of the passing target. So how many yards are they throwing to on average? So Sorsby's at number 1, 10.7. Joey's at number 2, 10.1. All right, big time throw percentage. Of course, Sorsby's number 1. So 6.4% of his throws were big time throws over the course of the year. Turnover worthy play percentage. And actually, this is the interesting thing is if you break it down from this standpoint, Joey Aguilar and Brendan Sorsby are actually tied. So I think that is interesting. Rush yards right here, Sorsby has the most. This is the uncatchable passes thrown, right? So pretty interesting. DJ Ladway, he's at number 1, but Sorsby's at number 2. All right. And then this is just taking out, this is what their rate would have been of passes caught if you take out drops and things like that. So at number 1, we have Drew Mestemaker. Joey Aguilar is way up there, almost 74%. And actually, Brendan Sorsby is dead last. So y'all just saw, we just went through a ton of stats. hopefully, all of that type of stuff makes sense. But let me tap back into the chat, man. Let me tap back in because I see that there's several things popping up as we speak, right? And what I'm going to do is bring this back over. Let me see. I want to make sure that we get to all the members and everything first. I think that we went through all of them. I'm just scanning through, making sure that we didn't miss anything. Okay. So, wow, there's a whole lot of chats that just came in. All right. So, it looks like this is the first one from a member right here from Big Dog's Gotta Eat saying that DJ Lagway is a beast. Yeah, I think that he's got like a very high skill set, super high skill set. But it all has to work out. If I was to go out and try to get Lagway, I would say, brother, we need to get you with a dietitian or something. And yeah, like you can't eat as much as you have been eating. You need to lose 20 pounds, or 15 to 20 pounds for me. All right, so let me get back to the poll. So right now, 52% says that they want Joey Aguilar back, 24% wants GMAC or Faison. Excuse me, 16% wants Brendan Sorsby, and then 7% wants a different transfer starter. All right, let me get back to this. Let me get back to this chat. See what all we got going on. Are there any more from our members? Yeah, we got some more. All right, so this one from Papa T. He says that I'm calling DJ Fluffy. Put that Twinkie down, bro. Yeah, facts. So now if Joey got cleared ASAP, then that's another conversation. I would say 6 to 7 interceptions by Joey was the receivers and not Joey. And yeah, I think that you're 100% right. I do. I think that so many, again, it's just bad luck, man. And that's something that I'm looking at. If I'm coaching on this level of football, or if I'm doing anything that's high up on this level of football or higher, maybe even in high school, man, like I feel bad for the kids because you want to see the kids do well. But if you're unlucky, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like they don't put an asterisk next to the wins and loss category or column, whatever, because you're an unlucky person. And some people don't believe in luck. I don't fully, but there's just something about like a different type of energy. Like it might be might be deeper than luck. It might be with his ball placement or whatever. But bottom line is that he throws so many damn interceptions. And I don't think that Coach Heupel should take a chance with his job on that if he doesn't have to. Now, $4 million, what do y'all think Joey's going to be worth? I don't know. I say he's got to be worth $3.5 million at least, because to me, that's the floor. If you're talking about a power 4 quarterback transferring out with the numbers that he put up, somebody's going to offer him 3.5, if not more, right? So if Tennessee wants him back, it's going to probably cost close to what Sorsby's asking for anyway. So do you want to maybe allocate more funds, take away from some of your stuff on defense and all that, which we'll take a look at that here in just a second, and go out and get somebody that you feel maybe a little bit more confident with? I don't know that the coaching staff does or doesn't, but if Joey can come back and they try to still go get somebody else, then that tells you all that you need to know, right? But saying a whole lot right there just to say that it's not going to be like an easy situation. But if it's me, I would probably take a chance on somebody else. That's just me. All right, so this one from my dog Tay. What's going on, bro? 30 drops is insane. I don't think Joe Milton even had 30 drops. No, he was up there, though. I'm going to tell you that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he was definitely up there. Might have been more like after the bowl game and all of that. But, yeah, I mean, like we just haven't done a good job of catching the freaking football for since 2022. That was the last season. I don't remember. I think we had a lot of drops then too. It's just part of the system. But also another part of the reason that we have so many drops is because we run so many plays. That's why I've said, slow it down, bro. Like we don't need to run so many plays, because the more plays that you run, the more bad things can happen. The harder it is on the defense. We have to slow things down. So this next one from Big Dog's Gotta Eat. All right, so he's talking to, and I really don't know how to say that. Can you spell that out for me, bro? Like without all the numbers and all that, and maybe some spacing so that I can see exactly how I can read that off. Okay. All right. So now let me get back to some more of these chats. Actually, you know what? We'll come right back to the chats. We're gonna come right back. Let me tap into some more of these things. So let me bring this up and just show you Tennessee's quarterback room once again, right? If Joey comes back, there's a chance that GMAC leaves, or if we go out and get a starter, there's also a chance that GMAC leaves. But I'm very high on George. I'm very high on Faison. For George, potentially this year. For Faison, probably not this year. But for next year, I think Faison is he has a very strong chance to be just like a dude, just like a real legitimate everything that we've been waiting on, like Hendon Hooker. I don't want to say on steroids, but Hendon Hooker, with some really strong supplements, sort of a deal, like from day one, man. I just think that he's got it all. I'm very now. Whenever people watch the high school players, I think that what they sometimes are looking for isn't necessarily realistic. They expect, hey, this is a juggernaut all the time, and they're just going to run through everything. It all depends on where you're playing at. If you're playing in some places, I'm like, okay, yeah, I expect for you to dominate. But after watching that state championship game with Faison up there at Grimsley versus the team that they played, that's a pretty good level of high school football, y'all. I think it's higher than probably most in the country, So he's going up against dudes, but you could just tell that there is still a separation. There is still a difference. I think he's going to be perfectly fine. But saying a whole lot right there, just to say that, yeah, I'm super high on the youth of this quarterback room. I want to find a way to hold on to both of those guys if we at all can. But I don't know that that's always realistic, man. You know what I'm saying? I sincerely don't. So let's move forward. Because if we do, I think if we can go out and get like a Joey Aguilar comes back, and maybe even then you might want to do this. But if it's like a Sorsby or somebody of that ilk, you might not need to go out and add a daggum bona fide studded running back. But what I did for y'all is I went back, I added Peyton Lewis to this room so that y'all can see how the averages look, because we don't know it's Peyton Lewis or whoever. Are they all going to stay or are they going to go? If it's going to be Joey coming back, or if it's going to be we're going to move forward with some of the younger guys, I want to go get a studded, like a real true studded running back. I would love to go get Jaden Ball from Florida. I don't know, has he technically like officially entered into the portal or not? I have no idea. I love Peyton Lewis, but I just think that you need to have a guy, at least one guy that's a bigger body, right? So here we've got Peyton Lewis, we've got Justin Baker. That's another beautiful boy. Love him dearly, and I already know that he's a dog. Trust me whenever I tell you, he might turn a whole lot of heads in the offseason. Y'all gonna love Justin Baker. But yeah, I mean, all these guys are really good inside this room. I'm just saying, if it's gonna be like a little bit of like a potentially like Lester situation at quarterback, you need to add more because Coach Heupel, of course, you have to be able to balance looking at the future and also looking at right now. But he's got to, like, the right now has to carry more weight. It's got to carry a lot more weight because his job is for right now. You better go get it figured out the best that you possibly can. So that's just something that I would do. I've thrown it out there several times. Now, just looking at this wide receiver room, I would just want for people to see this yet again. It's loaded. Can we hold on to all these guys? I think that there's a very strong possibility that we do. And if we cut ties with somebody, I don't think it might be a guy that we push out. But very talented room. I'm super high on those freshmen, super duper high on those guys. I think that they come in and they're probably going to be pretty much ready, especially Tristan Keys, because he's already got the size and all that. Tyreek King is very, very good. How much weight can he gain, though, right? Can he get up to about 185 or something like that? And it's not 100% necessary, but I love his skill set. I love this whole damn room, y'all. Like, this is a loaded freaking room. Think about who you got coming back. Braylon Staley, Mike Matthews. I mean, just excellent seasons for both of those guys. Travis Smith banged up a whole lot, but showed great flashes, great glimpses. He's going to be the biggest guy in this room next season because Brazel's gone. He's going to be hopefully like a first or second round draft pick, y'all. Then you got Ra, who is just a freak. I mean, he's big. He's a star. I mean, come on. Come on. Look at this room. So the quarterbacks will have people to throw to. It's just the wide receivers. They're going to have people to hand the football off to, right? Even if it's the running back room that we just looked at. Okay, but then look at the tight ends. This room's loaded. I mean, like, this is a gross-looking room, right? All these guys can daggone ball. You got Ethan Davis, who, I mean, as a pass-catching threat, he's a mismatch nightmare at 6'5", 245. You know what I mean? They're already putting Bram inside the slot at 6'4", 230. He's going to gain weight. He's going to be just as fast at 6'4", 6'5", 240, 245 next year playing inside the slot. Mismatch nightmare. Jack Van Dorsalier. I think that he can do it too. He runs good routes. People are sleeping on Cole Harrison. Been banged up, but I love what I saw from him as a pass catcher coming out of high school. But then all these guys are showing some physicality. Brain's got to step it up some. But the other guys, super physical. Luka Wolf, he's already 6'5", 250. He's going to have to get used to playing on this level. But guys, the whole point is you've got the weapons. Okay, like you as a quarterback, you've got weapons in most of these spots. You don't have to do too much. Maybe a couple of, hey, maybe we'll sprinkle a little something extra here and there. But it's not like a huge deal. Offensive line is something that we'll get to here in just a second. But this is the Leo room. I wanted to talk about this because, like we said, is Caleb Herring leaving or is he staying? Same thing for Jordan Ross. I told y'all there's certain coaches on this staff. I don't want to speak on it too much, but certain coaches on the staff might need to go or we're going to end up losing people. We cannot afford to lose Caleb Herring. We can't afford to lose Caleb Herring or really any of these guys because to me, we really only have two Leos for next season that I know for sure that I can trust, that we can trust. Some other guys could step up. There's no question about that. We have no idea. It's good looking bodies, but we probably have to go out to the portal and add a guy here anyway. If you lose Caleb Herring, you got to go add two. We're talking about 7 figures for these guys inside of the portal. 7 freaking figures. That's a lot of money in a position that most folks weren't looking at to say or think that we're gonna have to allocate a bunch of funds here. We're talking about $1 to $2 million. Too much money. I mean, I don't know exactly how much we're working with, but for me, that's probably going to be too much. So that's just something for y'all to think about. All right, then we got strong side defensive ends because we wanted to get to, we wanted to get to this yesterday, but we couldn't do it. So I like this room. I think that we got some guys here, but you might potentially want to go at a veteran just in case. But yeah, I think that we're pretty solid in all honesty. With Coach Knowles being up on campus, he'll be able to go through and figure out what the heck does he got going on. And then let me come back to this Leo room because the Leos in Coach Knowles' system, it's different from the Leos the way that Coach Banks used them. This year is going to be a lot more about rushing the passer for these guys or moving around to some different spots, like playing more like a stand-up linebacker, potentially, if he wants to do that. But it's not going to be a whole lot of pass coverage and stuff. They're more true defensive ends in Coach Knowles' system. Let me tap back into the chat, y'all. Let me see who all we got chiming in. So from my dog, Matt SS, what's going on, bro? Saying our wide receiver room looks baller. Yeah, man, we can get whatever quarterback we want. Yeah, and I mean, look, I'm not saying that it's the best wide receiver room in the country, but it's definitely like, I don't think that's going to be a problem. Like the quarterbacks, like it was a problem probably last year. And obviously the whole thing was a problem because we lose Nico late and so on and so forth. It was kind of like, it was going to be tough to go out and get a proven guy as far as a quarterback goes. But that was something that we had talked about. Well, if you look at the wide receiver room, we don't have enough wide receivers and whoop-de-whoop. But now, man, we got enough. The quarterback, that's not something that they're worried about. I don't think the offensive line is either. Matt's also saying the odds of us going after Hyder in the portal. I would say, in all honesty, I don't know what the staff wants to do. I would say very low, very, very low because Savion Hyder, it just really all depends. So coming out of high school, I want to say that he's a 7-figure guy. Running backs inside of this portal, I know that people are saying, wow, man, these running backs are going to cost a lot. Yeah, they're going to cost a lot. But I don't think that any of them are going to be 7 figures. I don't see that happening because running backs are a dime a dozen. So I think that you find value in running backs this year, right? Like running back, that's a place where you could find that value. Maybe some other spots, but running back for sure. So I would say that if you were to go to get like a Jaden Ball, who inside of my mind, he's going to be up there, like at least the top 5% of running backs, if not like the number one, maybe even higher than top 5%, whatever. But maybe $750,000. I saw there was a running back from LSU who's hitting the portal. It's like, dog, once you really break it down, and you start to just look at the individual backs, you say, oh my gosh, wait a second. These guys are so similar. If I can save $250,000 on a guy that's very close to like a Jaden Ball, why not do that? But I think that if Savion Hyder hits the portal, he's either going to go out and say, hey, I want 7 figures like what I got here in Michigan, or he's going to take a discount to leave Michigan. I just don't think that that's worth it. You know what I'm saying? Especially not for a true freshman. Now, Matt, I know that you love Savion Hyder. I don't personally think that would be worth it. So I would say that the percentage chance that we'll try to target him would be pretty low. All right, let me see what else people are talking about. I'm going to try to get to this one right here from Griffey. Saying that we're going to have to pony up and spend some big bucks. Remember, your schedule gets way harder next season, and the wear and tear you're going to need to upgrade this roster on defense. 100%. I mean, the schedule is going to take several steps forward. We can also take a look at that. But let's talk about, let's go into the middle linebacker. So we've already talked about this previously. Maybe y'all missed it, but Arion Carter's gone. Brendan Ains is probably gone as well. He did say that he's going to be entering the portal, but this is another place that Tennessee, I think, needs to add a body to. Will linebacker, I think that we're probably fine, but you could maybe add a body here as well. Guys have to gain weight. Cornerbacks got to add 2 to 3, I'd say at least off the rip, especially if Ricky Gibson leaves. We don't know what he's going to do. Defensive tackles, I would say you got to add at least two guys here that are bigger body. That's what I would do, but like whatever. You need to go get some starter, like some veteran guys, maybe not for sure starters, but veteran guys, 1,000%. Something else with Coach Knowles, does he want to go out and find a new defensive line coach, or is he fine with Coach Garner? Does Coach Garner want to keep on coaching? I'm hoping that Coach Garner does. Like we said with the cornerbacks, I would love if Coach E.T. just takes over cornerbacks and maybe the star player because he's just really good. You know, I would love if Coach Inge could maybe stick around as a linebackers coach because players love him. But as far as defensive line, yeah, Coach Garner loves to rotate. I think that's a great way for us to go and be able to add players without it being too much of a big problem. But it's going to cost you. All this stuff is going to cost because I am anticipating, just like Griffey said, go out and get dudes. Like, we got to go out and get dudes. We can go up to like 105 scholarships. Or actually, for us, it will be 103 because keep in mind, after the Pruitt stuff, we're still short right now, 2 scholarships all the way through 2028. But I want to say that Pruitt got some sort of a like injunction with his court case where he might not have to be penalized as much. If that's the case, Tennessee's penalties should also be dwindled down. You know, that's something that I saw on VolQuest, and I think that Brent Hubb said it, but I think that's a great point. Why should we still be getting penalized if the coach that did all those things isn't being penalized? So, yeah, that's just 2 more scholarships, but every little bit helps. The whole point is, yeah, man, we got to be able to build up depth. But the first thing that you need to do is spend the money and go and get dudes. Okay, so now this is the offensive line. At guard, I'm hoping that Wendell Moy comes back, but if he doesn't, I think that we'll be okay because J.C. Perry, he could play at guard like he has been for most of the year as long as Lance Hurd comes back. But maybe you feel fine with Bennett Warren stepping up at offensive tackle on the right or left side, whatever, as well. Max Anderson, he's a guy that we didn't talk about the last time that we spoke on this room, but I really like him. I think that he's going to be fine. You know, really like Tony, Cade Agumuro as well, Gage Ginther. I think he needs to kind of pick some things up, but he's probably going to be fine as well. So just as far as this guard room, we got some dudes, but try to bring them all back. Sam Pendleton can play at guard. He can play at center. So there is some versatility, but I love this room. I don't think that the problem here is from like a lack of talent offensive tackle. Hopefully Lance Hurd comes back, but if he doesn't, wish all these guys well if they want to go pro. Wish them the absolute best, but if he does come back, you return your starting 5 offensive line, and I think that that's an even bigger deal for us than like returning a starting quarterback. That's just me, especially if we can upgrade there. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially if we go out and get somebody that's a little bit better with their skill set. Tennessee really needs to have a quarterback that's mobile, that can run around and stuff, just because of how our system works. And I think that Sorsby is one of those guys. Okay, so that's how all that looks, right? We should be fine. You know, I just think the offensive line's pretty deep. Let me tap back into the chat. So Matt saying that he's not as in love with Hyder after he's watched DGG from Baylor. Yeah, man. I think the DGG, I mean, look, it's hard for me to necessarily still at this point say who's better for sure. I'm leaning more towards maybe DGG in all honesty, but you know, I mean, a really top-end running back is a really top-end running back, but I would just say that for the sake of this program in the long-term situation, what we need right now are dudes that can play at this very, very moment. Because the guys that we have that we're looking at, if we can hold on to some of these underclassmen, I mean, that's where those are dudes everywhere. Like, those are dudes. Like, you know, the whatever freshman class, the first 2-year class, those are real guys. Hold on to them. Let them learn under the system. Let them get better. Okay, now you bring up the big-time freshman and see, hey, can you beat out this veteran that's a real stud? See what I'm saying? Like, that's how you don't want to have to lean on freshmen. That's what I would not want to do that. If my job's on the line, give me the vets, but they better be able to ball. It still needs to be an open competition. So that's all that I'm saying there, Matt, right? And I think that maybe you kind of like starting to see it the way that I'm seeing it as well. All right. Okay, so let's move forward, see what else we got. So obviously safeties, that's a huge deal. We talked about it with our members. You know, we broke down some of the Notre Dame is loaded with young talent, like we just talked about. Tennessee is too, but Notre Dame is even on a higher level. As we're looking at PFF and everything's organized based off of who PFF gives the highest grades to, only looking at the freshmen, sophomores, and redshirt freshmen. Notre Dame, at like every spot on defense, they had somebody that was at least top 10. Sometimes it was a couple of guys in the top 10. They're loaded. Go and poach guys away from their roster, okay? Like, we have to do that. But, yeah, they had a couple of safeties up there. I think Tennessee's going to be fine at safety. Jalen, who's brothers with KJ, I have a feeling that he's coming on home. Going at just somebody else. We need veterans. We need starters. It's even better if they played in Coach Knowles' system. Again, especially at safety, which Jalen has played in his system. So I love how that's shaping up. But, yeah, you know, we got some young guys that could push and can do some good things as well. Okay, so next, stars. For me inside of this star room or nickelback, I don't know that Coach Knowles calls them stars. Sometimes they might be stars, sometimes they're not. Stars is more of like a 3-3-5 term. He runs a 3-3-5, 4-2-5 hybrid, and it's something that we talked about yesterday too. Whenever I say base defense, y'all, most of the time I'm talking about like the big personnel defense. So I know that people say, hey, Coach Knowles, his base defense is a 4-2-5. That's his base nickel. But like the base is the bigger personnel. So his base will be a 4-3. I did want to clear that up. But either way, we had to go ask some guys here, right? So you find this in typically corners, but Coach Knowles he's been known to play 3 safeties. So what, like the third safety is like a nickel or he's like a star. So do we go on that 3 to 4 safeties and bump some guys down to star? But you got to find some people who can ball. Now, I love Dylan Lewis. I think that he could fight right here for sure. I don't really know about these young guys, right? So, I've got Jalen's younger brother, KJ, right here playing at star. I see him as more of a star player right now, but he might be a safety. Who knows? But there is some versatility. We just need a really good coach getting these guys right. So that's going to be critical in my opinion. Now, let me tap back into the chat, man. So, Matt, what you talking about here, Matt? Matt saying that he does understand. Yeah, man. Oh, yeah, for sure. And look, man, I also want for people to understand, it's totally fine if we see things differently. I don't want anyone to ever think that I'm mad at people for disagreeing with what I see or say, or that I think everything that I say is right, or none of that, because that's definitely not the case. I want to get y'all's thoughts, and to me, it's better if it's like a different, like if y'all have a different point of view. But so from Prince, what's going on, bro? Saying they need to have dudes everywhere, at least 3 to 4 deep at every position. Got to have the dog mentality all over the freaking field. 1,000,000%, dog. And this one right here, so Faison Brandon 210 at Wade. Yeah. So Faison already being at 210, he's gonna probably come up on campus at about, I would say, like at least 215. Before the season starts, he'll be at least 220. Look, 6'4", 220. That's starting caliber size, y'all. I don't know what else to tell you. He's got a tremendous upside very early on. It's just as soon as he learns the system, I would say, look, he might be the guy. It's him or it's George for me, because I would love to have a quarterback that has a higher skill set that can learn inside of our system and go through some of like the small growing pains. It's just Coach Harper doesn't have the luxury to play like a quarterback with a bunch of growing pains because his job's on the line. I don't think that he'll get fired after this year unless it's just a terrible season. So maybe he could do it, but nobody wants to. With all the talk of potential transfer quarterbacks and stuff, people not going to listen to that. So it'll probably be a problem. It's kind of like damned if you do and damned if you don't. All right, so this one right here from Coach, he's going on, saying I'm tired of worrying about having to put backups in at some positions. Yeah, but, and I feel what I think you're probably saying. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I think that like whenever you're talking about backups, you mean people that are not of starting caliber. Whenever I'm talking about backups, I'm talking about like real depth pieces that there's no real drop off because you have to be able to rotate. That's just how football is these days. It's so different from what it used to be where you didn't really have to rotate as much. But this is our schedule. So right there, the third game, it says Kent State. It is Kennesaw State. I haven't changed that yet. But this is our schedule. Everything that's orange, that's us playing at home. Everything that's white is us going on the road. What you see to the left of each team that we're playing is who they play in the previous week leading up to our game. So, I did want to bring this up because it was talked about earlier that, we have a tough schedule. It gets even harder going into 2027 because everything is flipped, right? Okay, so let me get this right here from Mike saying that we need running back that can catch the ball. Yeah, I think that Jaden Ball can definitely do that. It's something that the running backs can work on. It's really not hard to catch the damn football. I don't know why we've struggled with it so much, but we've struggled catching the football everywhere like we talked about. Okay, so this one right here saying the NIL is over. It's rev share now. There is reportedly a big SEC school that's in the red, has a lot of money, but can't get it to players. We'll see how that shakes out. So that's kind of true for a lot of programs, but it's not true for Tennessee, and we talked about this yesterday. So, yes, revenue sharing, that's just kind of like the guaranteed money in most schools that are Power 4. I know for sure, like in the SEC, most schools are dedicating about $17.5 million to the football programs. And I know that LSU came out and they were saying earlier that they would try to allocate more to the football program. Either way, whenever it comes to NIL, the reason that people are saying that it's dead is because of the NIL clearinghouse with that cap. And I also think that I might have misspoke whenever I talked about it yesterday. So how it works is any NIL contract that's over $600 has to be vetted through the NIL clearinghouse. So if the money is coming from like a booster or from a donor, then if it's over $1,000, it gets heavily scrutinized And I think that it's going to be capped from that standpoint at like $10,000. So how things used to be before was the big time boosters and donors. They could, hey man, we're going to pay this kid, you know, $2 million of NIL, right? Just to do a couple of things here and there. But now that part of it is capped from the big time donors and boosters. Now, if you have a big time corporation like Tennessee has the three stripes, the three stripes. I don't know why I can't talk today, but Tennessee has the three stripes that's allocating X amount of millions of dollars specifically to our sports programs in NIL. Well, now it can't be scrutinized once it's over $10,000. So that's how you can bypass those rules. There's other things that you can do as well. I've talked to some people that are agents and they've talked about it for such a long time. There's loopholes and all that. So that's how you get by that. But NIL is not dead per se, not for Tennessee. What we'll start to see more of are more programs doing what Tennessee did with your sponsor, like a Nike or Jordan or, whatever, K-Swiss. I don't know if K-Swiss is still a thing, but, whoever, they will be allocating funds towards your NIL so that you can get past the money coming directly from the big time boosters and donors. So that's how that works, right? So Tennessee's got the revenue sharing, that $17.5 million that we're allocating to our football team. Plus, we've got, I would say, some very deep pockets as far as NIL goes, probably somewhere around $20 million that we can allocate to our football team. That's not just going out and adding players, it's taking care of our current roster as well. So hopefully that clears up some things for everybody. Okay, so I'm sorry, I might have missed this right here from Big Dog's Gotta Eat, saying, are we just completely out on Merklinger? Well, I mean, listen, I am. I mean, I don't believe, from what I've seen, I don't personally trust him to operate at this level. That's just me. I don't know what the coaching staff feels like, but no, I've seen enough. He's gonna have to go out and get exponentially better, and I'm talking about. I mean, he can't do it right now, but he should have already set it up for the day after the football stuff ends with the team to go and have a personal trainer if the staff is still going to let the kids train with somebody outside of the actual school. He needs to be all in on getting better just because he is so far away. And it's really, to me, inexcusable that he got as many reps as he did this season over George. Because after the first game, you could pretty much tell, okay, this probably ain't going to work out. So we don't have time for these games. Let's start to put the people in who we feel like maybe they had to have a better chance. But that's where I'm at, and I'm not trying to talk bad on the kid. I definitely wish him well, but I'm just keeping it real. I don't think that that's even a realistic. He's got to put in just so much work. Okay, so this right here, you're talking to somebody else. This one right here from Doka, saying we're still trying to recover from the Nico debacle. We might be in a complete rebuilding year on offense in a year. We damn sure bet not be no complete rebuilding year on offense. If that's the case, then Coach Heupel's fired. I can tell you that right here, right now. There's no excuse to be in a total rebuild, not on offense. We just went through the whole roster. I mean, there's too many dudes that can come back. Even if everyone doesn't, it's still going to be enough people who've been here, who can play, who've looked good when they play. Yeah, there's absolutely no excuse for that. I'm not going to settle for that. So I don't think that, but I definitely feel you though, right? It set us back. I think that this year was more of that rebuild sort of a year, and we had everybody feeling like we could make it to the college football playoffs, which I think that we could have. But maybe we tried to stretch things out a little bit too thin. It's a really good job by the staff. I had to give them credit. Could they have done maybe better in some places? But I would say maybe I'm kind of nitpicking from that standpoint. So C. Gray says that they love the wide receiver and tight end room. Yeah, man, it is. We're deep. We got to hold on to all those guys, but if we can, it's obviously very, very deep. And there's no guarantee with anybody that they're going to be sticking around. Just hope they can catch the ball next year. Yeah, that's a fact. So Doko saying that Faison brings so many different skills to Tennessee. He's a straight up beast, and we need to make it so that Faison does not jump into the portal after 1 year with us. Yeah, I think he's going to be sticking around. I do. I feel more confident that maybe he will, but again, there's no guarantees. This right here saying the problem is the offensive line. David Sanders is. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's not David Sanders. That just says that defenses have been blitzing more and rushing us. Yeah, so I kind of talked about that. The main issue within our scheme, y'all, it really is about, being able to, within Tennessee's running game, it's the stuff that comes off of the edges. We don't do a good job of picking that up because we leave one side unblocked because we want for them to honor our quarterback's legs. So we're trying to get favorable numbers on the side that we're running to. And a lot of teams do it, but you need to have a quarterback that's a real true threat for that to be honored all the time. And then within, like, I think most of the blitzes, it was like, sometimes it was running backs, not all the time. I don't want to make it sound like it was always running backs. Sometimes it was the offensive line. I think that I guess we kind of like can be better. There was a whole lot of falling down, which I don't like. That's a bad sign to me. If you fall down too much, to me, like, can we get somebody that doesn't fall all the time? We had our left guard. I'm just gonna say it, left guard and center, man. They fell down way too much, and they were tripping up other people. That was a problem. So that needs to get figured out. I mean, send these guys to like ballet or whatever the hell you have to do so that they're not so clumsy. Or maybe they need to have a stronger base. I don't know, but that was a big part of the problem. But yet most of it really is scheme though. All right, so Kashi saying it, yeah, like they don't seem good enough is just what we have type players. Yes, I'm not quite sure what you're referencing there. Maybe you can come back and let me know what you're referencing because I'm not sure. All right, so Drew saying that Billy Napier playing the 5-star quarterback that was highly rated, and look where he's at now. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think that you can listen. Like it's definitely not one size fits all. That is not the case. Really isn't. Because there are several 5-star quarterbacks that have done well over the course of time. Several of them. We could talk about, Cam Newton being one. Cam Newton was he actually only might have been like a 4-star coming out. But, goes to Florida, goes to JUCO, comes back and pretty much wins the national championship by himself. There are a ton of very highly, like Peyton Manning. There's so many that we could name off. It's just not like a one size fits all. Like I don't want for people to say, "Hey, let's not go get the best, the most talented quarterback because we want to go get somebody that wasn't highly rated and we think that that's going to work out better." That's really not how that works at all. But there are so many different moving pieces that go into it. I just think that we've hit sort of like a weird spurt with, like if you talk about like an Arch Manning, or even if you talk about Nico, people won't like to hear this. But with Arch Manning this season, and I think really even with the Texas offense last year, we started to see glimpses of it. People had figured out what they're doing. It's the same thing that they did with Tennessee. We saw it with Joe Milton. We started to figure it out. Well, I started to see, we talked about it. People still think, well, it's on the individual quarterback. Nah, bro. A lot of it is with the scheme. If people figure out what you're doing, if they take away what the coach is calling, if you have nowhere to throw the football, you're in trouble. I don't give a damn who you are. Like, that's just not how, it's never going to work out well. So I just think that there's been a whole lot of that going on where it's been some quarterbacks going to some systems that had got figured out. It's not always like that, but I think that's mostly what it is. So it's really have the talent, but you got to be able to coach it up right. You got to put them in a position where they can win. You got to put the talent around them and so on and so forth. It's got to be complementary football too. Like just because someone's a 5-star, people feel like, well, they're going to win a national championship every single season. No, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not the case. There's just football. It is such a team sport. It's not like basketball. Basketball, you can make that argument. If you're a 5-star, you should be damn dominating. You know what I mean? Might take you some time, like it's taking Nate some time, but you should really be just like freaking dominating. You should pretty much be unstoppable. It's just different from that standpoint. All right, so Papa T. All right, so he's saying that we need Sorsby to come home and let's ball out. We're loaded everywhere. Go Vols. Yeah, man. I would love to go get Sorsby. I just all given what's the backup quarterback situation look like. Well, George, if George sticks around, yeah, man, let's go get Sorsby. Let's go get Sorsby. Let him be the like one and done guy. And let's find out, man. Like let's find out who wins in the offseason. I think Sorsby would get the nod either way. Even if it's Joey, I think that he would get the nod if he comes back. But yeah, that's like a perfect world. And I would be fine with taking away like a little bit of money from some other places. We can't be maybe perfect everywhere, but I still think we would have enough money to go and get done what we need to get done as far as the starters go. And then we got to be able to coach up all these underclassmen and just have especially defensive system that they can grasp, that they understand, that puts us in the best position to be able to win. All right, so Kashi said at the backups, I mentioned being the not good enough players. Okay, I think that a better word is just a placeholder. Yeah, I mean, Tennessee has to, and I think most teams are starting to do it now, especially given that everyone's going to the 105 scholarship limit. I think that you have to kind of like cut ties with the people that you don't feel like can really play. You know what I mean? As much as you possibly can. Now, in some positions, you got to have a certain amount of players in like everywhere, right? Because football is a game of injuries. So it's not like, and we talked about it with the Leos, it's not like, hey, man, we'll just say if Caleb Herring wants to leave, then we're fine with just Jordan Ross. Hell no, we're not fine with just Jordan Ross because we like to rotate 3 there, and you're going to need at least 3 there. You really, need 4 to 5 there. Like, you need the depth. That's just how it goes. So, yeah, I fully understand what you're saying, and that makes perfect sense. Let's just go and get as many people that can play on this level as possible, right? Because before you would have guys that, like before transfer portal era and all that, you could let the guys take the time to get better and hope that they grow into something. But players still got cut back then too. Make no mistake about it. But it's not like now you need to have a very talented, very deep roster right now. And that's what everyone's working with. And I don't think it's an easy thing to have to deal with, in all honesty. All right, so let me get this right here from Vol Slim Jimmy. What's going on, bro? Hey, man, it sure is good to see you, dog. I haven't heard from you in a long time. All right, so saying that I don't know I'm cool with anything, honestly, but I think it would be super cool to see playing time split between both of our young quarterbacks somehow, and I know that that's not ideal. Yeah, it's something that Coach Kiffin, not necessarily like young quarterback, but he's shown that he can get it done. So I mean, I don't think that it's ideal, like you said, but is it impossible? I don't know that it is. Have some packages for these guys. There's been like a lot of other programs that have done that. Like Mississippi State, they had a 5-star freshman quarterback. He just had packages. So I think that you have to do that. And it's something that we need to try to get figured out. Again, it goes back to my point, bro. Like, stop running so much tempo. If we stop running so much tempo, it answers a lot of these questions. I know that people love it and they feel like, oh, this is the end all be all, but it's really not. Like, tempo is a gimmick. If you have to rely on that too much, I mean, at some point, teams are going to figure out what you want to do and your tendencies, and they're just going to shut you down, which again is what they did to Tennessee in 2023, 2024, and we even saw it versus South Carolina in 2022. You figure out what the team wants to do, and you totally shut it down because we have no counters, we have no answers. Like, the offense has to be complete. And part of that is we're going to slow it down and we're going to be able to shift in motion and change the plays pre-snap and put ourselves in the best situation offensively, but also for the defense so that they can rest. To me, some of this stuff, I think it's kind of like common sense. Okay. So look, this is an excellent point from Jimmy saying that Trevor Lawrence won a national championship as a freshman. Yeah. And actually, I got to see him play. I want to say that he played versus my brother P when he was in high school, so we knew that he was going to be a dog. I think did they play in the championship or something like that. So P, for those of y'all that don't know, and of course, I don't mind bragging on my family at all. So, but P, his team at Buford, they won 4, I think, out of, or they won 3. What was it? I think that they were about to win 5 state championships in a row or something like that. So P, he ended up winning 3 in a row when he was in school, but his senior year, I want to say they lost by like a yard. Fumbled on the 1-yard line, but I think that might have been Trevor Lawrence's team. Either way, yeah, I mean, it's just like things have to balance out. It's not just the quarterback is not going to by himself come in and change everything. That's never, not in football, like unless you're super freaking human. So you have to have everything, right? Okay, I'm going to get to just like a few more of these. Let me get to this one from Mike. So saying some of these transfer quarterbacks like Sorsby are going to make bank with all these coaching changes. Schools like Florida are going to have to go out there. How much more is Sorsby? Yeah, I mean, look, quarterbacks always make a lot of money, but, it is. It's going to be expensive to go and get quarterbacks. That's just the fact these days. But, all right, y'all, that's pretty much it. I was hoping that maybe we could get some information on what happened with the Joey Aguilar situation. I haven't seen anything yet. No one said anything, or if they did, then it's something that I missed. Let me try to double check real quick and just see if anything has popped up on that situation. I don't see anything so far, just like off of a quick glance. But let me try to get to this one right here from Koshi saying that, yeah, tempo was kind of holding us back. I started to see the cracks in that this year, but even some before. Yeah, like tempo worked for the first couple of seasons. Tempo is something that you do if that's a crutch for you, it's because you're used to coaching untalented teams. You have to catch people off guard. Once the talent gets there, you have to slow it down, especially inside this conference, because teams game plan for you. They figure out your tendencies. It's way too easy if you can't change things because they're going to know what you're doing off of the look, off of the down and distance. How many times has Coach Heupel, after a big pass play, running the football and everyone knows it? That's with the tempo. If you slow it down, you don't have to do that. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's it, y'all. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. We will be back probably tomorrow. Shouts out to our members. Y'all can join us as members on YouTube by clicking on the join button just below this video. We're definitely trying to get our memberships up. We have plenty of film breakdowns and just a whole lot of stuff. Or you can join us on Patreon at patreon.com/Bluechip Breakdown. Pretty much the same information there. Y'all can join us on Patreon for free. We have free content there. And then we also, man, P and I, we're working on something pretty big, and we'll be keeping y'all posted on it. Hopefully we can get it done here pretty quickly. But yeah, thank y'all so much. And again, make sure to like and subscribe. We'll be talking to y'all later on. Thanks. Peace.